Hello then viewers, and welcome back in to episode 9 of our F1 Manager 22 save with the Mercedes team. I hope you're doing very well. Welcome back in for another episode, and we start today's episode with the construction being complete for the Tour Center. So there's things we love to see. Hopefully we'll be able to get some more sponsorships from it, potentially some more money from it. But yeah, we're starting to ramp up the spend now because we are pretty under the cost cap. If you have not watched the previous episode around the Azerbaijan circuit, I do recommend you go and check it out because obviously there will be spoilers ahead in this episode. But as you can see in the constructors, still currently P3. We're coming up to 100 points now behind Ferrari in the constructors. So I think we're probably out of that race now, since it is round 9 in the drivers standings. Lewis Hamilton is in P4, George Russell is in P6. Jared Murphy is gaining experience through training and races. So that is interesting. We can improve Jared Murphy's profile. I didn't know you could do that with your staff as well. So that's fantastic. What we want to do is we want to improve the drag reduction because we're still very slow in the straights, and we also want to improve the high speed downforce as well. So we'll use both of those there. What I do want to do though is I want to compare our car in comparison to some of the better teams. So if we go to, probably at the minute the Red Bull is the best car on the grid. Let's compare it to Max Verstappen's car. The top speed is way higher, the acceleration is a lot more, the low speed cornering is a lot more, medium speed cornering is a lot more, the highest, yeah, everything about this at the minute is much faster. So we do need to work on probably the high speed cornering next, because that's a big difference between ourselves and Red Bull. And also the brake calling seems to be a bit of a big difference, and high speed dirty air cornering as well. So there's still a lot of work to do. If we change and compare it to the Ferrari, compare it to Charles Leclerc's car, and yeah, it's much the same. We've got a lot of work to do in sort of the high speed areas of the car. At the minute though, we do have better engine cooling than Ferrari, so that is one positive because we didn't start off the season like that. What I also wanted to do is give George Russell his upgrade. He's got one more development point, and I think it will give it to adaptability, get that up to 80, because we've seen that Lewis Hamilton's been fantastic in the rain this season. Already got a couple of wins as well, mostly due to weather conditions. So we need that for George Russell, and hopefully it'll be coming soon. Right, the performance targets then. Reach Q2, reach Q3, and qualifying position of 2 cars in the top 8. So we'll be able to do that, I reckon.
Formula One is back in Montreal. Let's hope it's not going to be Groundhog Day. The local rodents have disrupted more than one race day here in the past. The Canadian Grand Prix is ready to kick off, and the only drama on the tracks we want to see is the best drivers in the world battling it out for a place on that podium. Gilles Villeneuve is a quick, free-flowing circuit in parts, with a stop-start aspect thrown in for good measure around the chicanes and hairpin bends. Medium-speed downforce will play a large part in avoiding the wall of champions and ensuring success at this iconic track. We're about halfway through the season now, and there's still plenty of time for everything to change. All eyes are on the teams and how they tackle the rest of the year. The competition is on.
Right, here we are then, ahead of practice 1 in Canada, and there's potential to rain during the practice sessions and during qualifying as well. So we'll need to make sure we are behaving ourselves if there is rain in qualifying, because we have messed up in the past this series. Go and check out the Australia episode if you don't know what I'm talking about. No rain at the minute scheduled for the race, so yeah, it will be interesting to see if that changes over the next couple of hours.
Take a look now. Now just take a look at the McLaren.
Our first big crash of the weekend here in Canada, and is Lando Norris, who smashes into the back of the Williams. Bloody hell. What impact. Who's that? Lando Norris and Albon.
So rain imminent. Coming.
And just to make things worse, the rain is coming.
Now let's watch this. The Alfa Romeo involved in this one.
A huge crash right in front of George Russell. Then in the same place, Lando Norris crashed into Albon. And that is a bit of a silly animation, if I do say so myself. He could have continued driving onwards. The rain is dropping now. And we're just going to ignore it because we do have a little bit more feedback to get. We're nearly there. We'll bring them in a couple of minutes time. George Russell then, he's on 42%, so much the same. A great, a good, and 3 bad. So the rear wing just needs to go down a touch, I think. Down to 13 should be okay. The front wing should be fine on something like that. The anti-roll, we'll do something like that. The braking stability is on good, so we need to keep it around about there. I just don't know whether we need to go up or down with the braking stability, so let's do that. And then the oversteer should be fine because that's near great, so we'll confirm that.
All eyes on Kevin Magnussen here.
Another huge crash for Kevin Magnussen at a race weekend. He goes wide and just drifts into the wall. Poor driving from Magnussen this season. Again, another one where I hope he's okay, but yeah, it's a disappointing one that for Kevin Magnussen. Probably a little bit avoidable as well.
It's a crash. Let's take a look at the replay. Now just focus on the Haas.
There seems to be a lot of crashes this weekend as this is our 4th one. The exact same incident as Zhou Guanyu with Mick Schumacher. He goes off at turn 1, hits the wall. That's 2 Haas's, an Alfa Romeo, a McLaren and a Williams all involved in incidents now. Right then, at the end of practice 1, Max Verstappen continues his form from the last race, dominating practice 1 at the top of the timesheets. Again, George Russell currently down in P6 and Lewis Hamilton in P9, but we've been doing a completely different setup run. We just want to get as much track acclimatization as possible. Track acclimatization for both of them in the sort of mid-20s, so that's not too bad. Setup confidence around about 65% for both as well, so let's try to aim for that 100% again. We got a double 100% last time with both of our drivers in practice, so let's aim to do that again this time, and yeah, hopefully have a good qualifying session. Another crash at turn 1, and yep, it's the exact same incident as Zhou and Mick Schumacher. This time it's Fernando Alonso, so that's now 5 crashes to start off this weekend in Canada.
So let's look at this. There's Sergio Perez,
one of our title challengers or one of our competitors. Oh, that's another massive crash. That's a 6th crash now at this weekend, and Sergio Perez has gone straight into the wall. That looked dangerous. Lewis Hamilton at the minute, he's currently under the virtual safety car out on track. He tops the timesheets by nearly a second, but it does have to be said that Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez done their laps on hard tyres. Lewis Hamilton then in practice 2, 98% on the confidence, so absolutely brilliant. There we go then, practice 2, and Lewis Hamilton tops the timesheets ahead of Max Verstappen, 0.3 of a second up. George Russell currently in P5, but he done all of his running on the medium tyre. Lewis Hamilton already has 98% on his driver setup, so his car is feeling planted around here. The big news though from that session is Sergio Perez crashed out. It'll be interesting to see if he has any damage or any lasting issues. George Russell then at 99%. His braking stability is on great, just like Lewis Hamilton, so we've got enough time to mess around with it here. I think again it was toe out, so we could either go up 1 or down 1.
We can take a look now. Now let's look. We're watching Nicholas Latifi.
Oh no, another Williams. Oh, what on earth has happened there? He's basically brake checked that Aston Martin. Latifi there at his home race at an incident. We're going to ignore because we don't need to call them in. There's only 10 minutes left. But that's another huge crash here at Canada. There's so many of them this weekend. Right, at the end of practice 3, then Lewis Hamilton, his best is a 99. We can't just get that 100%, but 99% is perfectly fine. I'm not worried about that too much, so we don't need to worry too much about that. And George Russell, his is at a 99 as well. Exactly the same setups almost around here, so that is interesting. Williams again involved, and it's the same incident as Zhou, the same incident as Mick Schumacher, and also Fernando Alonso loses control of the car at turn 1, and that's what, the 8th crash of this weekend so far. That's mental. Lando Norris has a penalty, which I assume is for the crash earlier on in the practices. Sebastian Vettel has a grid penalty, I think, for the crash with Latifi. And Max Verstappen has a grid penalty. So let's check out the events here. So Sebastian Vettel for collision caused. So his must have been with Latifi. Max Verstappen got a penalty for collision caused as well. Who did he crash into? And must have missed that one. Right then, first thing I have to say is that this visual of the pit lane at Canada really does need to be glitched. Does seem to be glitched, sorry, so it does need to be fixed. Right, importantly, the rain seems to be coming in 5 minutes. So we're going to send both of our drivers out now.
Look at the replay. So let's look at this. There's Sergio Perez.
Big news then is Sergio Perez is out of qualifying with a huge crash.
That's very unfortunate.
That was a huge crash as his dry tyres didn't work in the rain. Max Verstappen is currently going around on intermediates, but that is a massive crash for Sergio Perez and puts him on the back foot. He'll be starting from the back of the grid. Right, so the same thing looks like it's going to happen again with 85% chance of rain in 5 minutes. So we are going to send George Russell out right now, and we're going to send Lewis Hamilton out straight after. Right, so after those dry runs, George Russell should be fine, but Lewis Hamilton got caught up in traffic behind Lando Norris and slowed down, so he's going to have to go out again. I think the rain is going to stay, so Lewis Hamilton should be okay, just due to the fact that we went out very, very early in the session. But down in P6 at the minute, George Russell is comfortable in P1. He's through. Zhou Guan Yu has headed back out. He's on intermediates, and everyone else is heading out on intermediates. So I don't think times are really going to improve that much. It is though something we might have to look out for if the track does get a bit drier, but I think we should be fine in P6 with Lewis. Daniel Ricciardo is up into P7. Right, okay, we might be in trouble here because that is a much faster time than he set previously. Who do we need to look out for? Esteban Ocon. He is setting a decent time. Actually, I think we should be fine. Fernando Alonso went to P7, so I think just because we went out on the dry tyres, we should be all right in P6. Lando Norris, does he improve his time? No. Max Verstappen could be in trouble here. No, Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, they could be in trouble. Does Esteban Ocon get a good time? He's only in P11. Kevin Magnussen, can you knock out Valtteri Bottas from qualifying? No, it's only P13. So we just about, it was a little bit nervy. We managed to make it through because of the smart decision to head out early. Annoyingly, yet again, we've been held up by the traffic. And Lewis Hamilton is currently down in P9, 3 seconds off the pace. George Russell, half a second off Charles Leclerc as Carlos Sainz sets his first fast lap of the session. Lewis Hamilton is currently worrying about his tyres overheating, but it should at least be a personal best here because of the poor sector times he would have had before due to the traffic. The ERS is starting to play up as well. That is worn 40% or under 40%, so we do need to worry about changing that in the future. Lewis Hamilton's gone green sector 1, not purple though, so it doesn't look as though we are challenging for pole position again, but it is another personal best sector 2. Can he qualify ahead of Max Verstappen? Even though Max Verstappen does have that grid penalty, it would be nice just to see if we can challenge him in this session. George Russell still staying out of the way of traffic, so hopefully he's not too concerned with that. He's gone personal best as well through sector 1 as Lewis Hamilton goes through the wall of champions perfectly fine, crosses the line, and he puts himself up into P6. P6 only for Lewis Hamilton. That's such a disappointment. He'll go ahead. Oh, he's down to P7 because Valtteri Bottas has improved. George Russell is on a personal best time so far as Lando Norris doesn't jump ahead of Lewis Hamilton, thankfully. Max Verstappen, he goes provisional P1. Carlos Sainz, he's only in P3. Does George Russell have enough to challenge the Ferraris here? No, he doesn't improve, or he just about improves, but not much. But Lewis Hamilton is down to 7th, and he won't start ahead of Max Verstappen, who I think will only have a 5-place grid penalty. Such a disappointing qualifying there for Lewis Hamilton. So there we have it. George Russell in P4, he'll head up to P3, so that's his best start of the season. I think it's the first time that we've maybe qualified in the first three at any race. And Lewis Hamilton with a poor final lap. I don't know what happened there with him whatsoever, but to be down in P7 and not take advantage of Max Verstappen's grid penalty is so disappointing. So P3 and P7, unless it's a 10-place grid penalty for Max, which I don't think it is, the two Ferraris out in front, it'll be difficult to contend with. We're going to try our best for a podium. George Russell is driving very well at the minute, but Lewis Hamilton, it looks like it's going to be another recovery drive for him.
The time has come for these drivers to fight it out wheel to wheel. Race day has arrived.
We saw a reasonable push from Mercedes in qualifying, and they'll have plenty of opportunities here to achieve a great result. It was a pleasure to watch Red Bull's excellent performance during qualifying. Their drivers will now be looking ahead to the race itself and hoping to capitalize. And the sun is shining bright here today. This is perfect weather for teams and drivers alike to show us what they're capable of.
But don't forget, there's always excitement in Montreal, and the odds are that this will be another Grand Prix to remember.
Right then, so no rain to save us this time, so we're just gonna have to do it ourselves on the track. Let's take a look at the circuit info. Expected strategy: a one stop, a medium onto hard, or then soft onto hard. So I think we might have to go soft onto hard with Lewis to do our best there to try and get a good jump off at the start. Yeah, I think with Lewis we'll do softs onto hards, and we can basically push all the way from the start. And then with George we'll probably keep things a little bit simple, and we'll go medium onto hards, try to make the mediums last a little bit longer where we can. And yeah, we'll do something like that, and hopefully George Russell can get onto the podium once again.
This is it. We're moments away now at the Canadian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
We're going to push hard. Copy.
The start of the race then, and George Russell is up into P2. He's overtaken Carlos Sainz at the start of the race. What a start by George Russell there on the medium tyre. Let's have a look at the overtake here.
Now let's look at this. Here's George Russell.
He has a brilliant getaway. I can see that Carlos Sainz is on the soft tyre, and by the time we get to turn one, George Russell is ahead. Charles Leclerc is on the medium. Max Verstappen is on the medium as well. Brilliant move there by George Russell to get up to P2. It'll be difficult to keep Carlos Sainz behind, but we will do our best. Now behind with Lewis Hamilton, we're on the soft tyres. Let's take a look. Where is everyone tyre wise? So Bottas is on the medium, Gasly's on the soft, Verstappen's on the medium, Sainz is on the soft, Russell and Leclerc are on the medium. Sergio Perez started on the soft down in P19. So alright, I think with Lewis Hamilton we're going to look to try and push a little bit, and we're going to aim to maybe get ahead of Gasly where we can. I've just realized I didn't put on a new set of softs for Lewis Hamilton, so that is my bad. I should have put on a new set of softs. He's going side by side with Charles Leclerc around the outside at turn one. Are we going to have George Russell in the lead? He's on the inside for turn two, and George Russell takes the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. He's currently P1. Fantastic driving there by George Russell.
It's a race position gained for a Mercedes. We can take a look now. Now watch this. Lewis Hamilton involved in this one.
Lewis Hamilton gets around and past Pierre Gasly up into P6, and now he's attacking Valtteri Bottas for P5. We do need to clear him if we're going to try and make any imprint on this race, but out in front George Russell is now being harassed by the two Ferraris, who both are going to have DRS down the long straight. So we're going to attack with George Russell, and we're going to put our ERS on defend so that we can try and do our best to keep the hold of this race lead as Lewis Hamilton overtakes Valtteri Bottas here. He is pushing and pushing hard. He goes around the outside of Valtteri Bottas. and it's a brilliant move. Hopefully we don't get caught by the DRS on the long straight and get that position taken back from us. Lewis Hamilton now, decent recovery so far, back up into P5, but it's George Russell who has to watch behind him. The ERS is on defend. We're trying our best here as the battery ends at the wrong time. Let's go push on the fuel as we're now attacking with the tyres. Charles Leclerc is there. DRS is open. Our battery's done. And we're a little bit of a sitting duck there. Charles Leclerc takes the lead again of this race. George Russell now has the DRS on Charles Leclerc, who is now also defending from Carlos Sainz. So there's a four-way tie here for the potential race leads. Charles Leclerc goes defensive. George Russell is going to look around the outside, is he, of turn 1. No, he's not able to make it work. So we're going to manage the ERS a little bit and harvest it, as all of a sudden Carlos Sainz comes out of nowhere looking to come around the outside of George Russell there. Lewis Hamilton is somehow behind Pierre Gasly again. This is a little DRS battle between the two. Let's have a look at the replay.
Now look at this. It was the AlphaTauri driver involved.
This AlphaTauri has made a lot of improvements and has managed to overtake Lewis Hamilton quite a lot in the last few races. That's something that we need to be a little bit concerned with, as Lewis Hamilton's tyres are quite worn as opposed to Pierre Gasly. So let's drop it back down to standard. We should be okay here. The DRS detection point is now, and it is open. We are gaining. We're going to look down the inside here of Pierre Gasly, but we can't make it stick as George Russell is still fighting with Charles Leclerc out in front. George Russell with a brilliant switchback move there on Charles Leclerc and takes the lead of the race again on lap 7. The two Ferraris are side by side. Will Carlos Sainz force his way through? Yes, he does. And we are back in the lead with George Russell. What a brilliant move that was by him. And now we lead from Carlos Sainz. This is turning into a who has DRS last race here, as Carlos Sainz now takes the lead of this race. Although I don't really mind that too much, as he is on the soft tyres, so we're going to run longer than him. If we can stay in the DRS of Carlos Sainz, we should be in a good position. Over on the other side, Lewis Hamilton has overtaken Pierre Gasly. So both of our drivers doing okay so far. Another easy overtake then for George Russell as we take the lead of the race once again. Carlos Sainz, his tyres, are they falling off a cliff already? We're in a decent position here. Lewis Hamilton in P5 just needs to catch up to those front four, and hopefully we've got a five-way race on our hands.
Let's see what happened there. Now just focus on the house.
It's another crash for Kevin Magnussen. He's, oh my God. He smashed right into the back of the AlphaTauri of Yuki Tsunoda, and it's a safety car. Right, safety car. When are we meant to pit in with Lewis Hamilton? Not yet. So we're going to conserve the tyres. We're going to save the fuel. We're going to harvest the battery. And George Russell out in front. Conserve the tyres. Save the fuel. And harvest the battery, as we have got another safety car. We went 7 rounds without a safety car, and now we've had 2 in a row. Safety car is in this lap then, and our race leader George Russell is now going to control and dictate the pace. We're on lap 11 of 70. We're nowhere near the pit stops yet. George Russell still has like another 14 laps or so to go. Lewis Hamilton probably has another 10. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here with the tyres. George Russell leads the cars away then, currently controlling the tempo. When will he hit the gas and hopefully run away from Carlos Sainz? Tyre wise, Carlos Sainz down at 77%, and George Russell is gone, heading towards the wall of champions. Can he just navigate these last 2 corners? Yep, and we are good to go. And now the Ferraris will hopefully battle behind us. We've got full attack on both of our drivers as Lewis Hamilton looks around the inside of turn 1. Will he get Max Verstappen? No. There's been an incident behind though. Let's have a look at Fernando Alonso. Lucky to avoid a crash there. He cuts the corner. That could have been another safety car if things didn't go well for Alonso, but decent start. George Russell gaining a little bit of time. Right, all of a sudden then George Russell is in a bit of trouble as Charles Leclerc has overtaken Carlos Sainz, and in the clean air he has cut this race lead down to half a second. in just 2 laps. This Charles Leclerc Ferrari is absolutely rapid, and we are in trouble as the ERS is empty. George Russell's going to have to defend for his life coming towards turn 1. He does brilliantly well to stay ahead, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult behind with Lewis Hamilton in P5. Here comes Charles Leclerc then, side by side in the DRS zone, and through he goes into P1. But that's okay, we don't really mind it. Our race is probably going to be won and lost on the hard tyres, because George Russell is now challenging for the race lead side by side with Charles Leclerc. Don't overtake there. It's going to maybe allow Charles Leclerc a good opportunity. It's brilliant that George Russell is confident enough to attack the Ferraris like that, but I do have to say that overtaking him at that part of the circuit is just going to give Charles Leclerc the advantage down this straight. And as we watch on lap 18, George Russell is in the lead, but Charles Leclerc is coming again with the DRS open, and that straight line speed of the Ferrari, he's just going to bide his time, get by the wall of champions, and then head down to turn 1 with a possible overtake around the outside there. They're going to go side by side down the start finish straight. There goes Charles Leclerc into the distance. George Russell back into P2. Here we go with George Russell around the outside of the DRS zone on the straight. What a brilliant place to overtake for the race lead. That's not something we've seen Charles Leclerc do. He's been biding his time past this part, and we've overtaken, used the DRS, and we've got DRS again. And in lap 20, what a fantastic move by George Russell. Let's take a look at that again.
Here's George Russell.
What a brilliant place to overtake for the race lead. He's gone, and then we still have the DRS for the second section, and down the start finish straight we go. George Russell back in the lead of this race. Right, so on lap 21, Carlos Sainz has come into the pits, and we are going to stay out with Lewis Hamilton maybe just one more lap. But actually no, we're going to cover off Carlos Sainz because we are right behind him. We're going to use the DRS here and hope that Carlos Sainz hits a little bit of traffic. So Lewis Hamilton going to box now for hard tyres, going straight onto the hard tyres, which will go towards the end of this race. Out in front, George Russell is still doing a very good job defending from Charles Leclerc. Right, Lewis Hamilton's come in for his pit stop. Where is Carlos Sainz in comparison to Lewis Hamilton? George Russell has now lost the lead of this race. Lewis Hamilton coming out of the pits now. Where is Carlos Sainz? Is he going to come out side by side with Lewis Hamilton? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? We've come out ahead of him. That's brilliant work from the Mercedes mechanics. The traffic for Carlos Sainz behind Ocon and behind Zhou Guanyu has cost him there. And we, with Lewis Hamilton, have jumped a spot. And George Russell has overtaken Charles Leclerc again. What is happening? We need to see the replay of that overtake. Let's have a look at it here.
Here's the replay. Now, just watch the Mercedes here.
It's brilliant work by George Russell in the DRS zone again. It's fantastic around the outside of Charles Leclerc. That has been his favourite spot to overtake during this race.
What happened there? Okay, here's the Ferrari.
Charles Leclerc overtakes George Russell again for the lead of this race. These three are running away with it at the minute. Max, George and Leclerc, but as long as we stay in the DRS, we're okay. It's a good move by Charles Leclerc there, but our pit stops are coming as Lewis Hamilton has been overtaken by the Haas. Didn't really expect that. The DRS is so powerful around here, but it's okay really, because behind us Carlos Sainz still can't get by Esteban Ocon or Zhou Guanyu. George Russell with the DRS once again, get past Charles Leclerc as both of our opponents for the race lead have boxed in. Right, George Russell, we need an absolutely amazing in-lap from you here. We take the lead. Let's take a look at the overtake again. With that DRS, we flew past Charles Leclerc, but Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen both have come into the pits for their one scheduled stop. So this is going to be a massive lap for George Russell. Right, so Lewis Hamilton has been badly held up by Mick Schumacher here, as Charles Leclerc has had a slow pit stop, and has been jumped in the pits by Max Verstappen. He's now P2. Charles Leclerc, or provisional P2, with Valtteri Bottas currently in second place. Charles Leclerc currently provisional P3. Lewis Hamilton provisional P4. But we need to clear this Haas, and we need to clear it quickly. Right, Lewis Hamilton, let's take a look. How are the tyres looking? They're fine. Will we go? This is brilliant defensive driving from Mick Schumacher as George Russell is pitting at this lap. Right, overtake with Lewis Hamilton down the straight with the DRS as well. It's now or never as George Russell pits from the race lead. It's going to be close to see where we come out in comparison to Max Verstappen. Here comes Lewis Hamilton around the outside of Mick Schumacher. A brilliant move by Lewis. Cuts the corner a little bit. Where are Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc? There they are, coming towards turn 1 now. Is George Russell going to stay in the lead of this race? Yes, he is. And staying out the extra lap has benefited George Russell.
Let's see what happened there. Watch this. There's Leclerc.
Leclerc gets a brilliant exit out of the corner and takes the race lead from George Russell there. Somehow Leclerc got past Max Verstappen in all the commotion of us defending from Max Verstappen, but we're currently in P2. Again, that's not too bad. We're going to keep getting the DRS from Charles Leclerc. That's the main thing. Lewis Hamilton is coming under attack from Carlos Sainz. I'm expecting Sainz to dispatch of Lewis Hamilton here pretty easily. Let's have a look down the inside here, heading towards the Wall of Champions. Where is the Ferrari? We don't see him just yet. No, he's lost a little bit of time on the straight. So it's well defended there by Lewis Hamilton, but here comes Carlos Sainz. It's an easy overtake under DRS. Little bit of a sitting duck there for Lewis. We're down to P5, but the positive thing is that we now get the DRS on Carlos Sainz. So if Carlos Sainz can drag us along to this battle at the front, we should be okay. As George Russell sits in P2, decent position again. We just need to time our strike a little bit better and we should be okay.
It's a race position gained for a Mercedes. Here's the replay. Now watch this. Lewis Hamilton involved in this one.
And just like that, Lewis Hamilton gets back in P4 side by side with Carlos Sainz. Great driving from the pair of them. And Lewis Hamilton is back up to P4. The front three are running away from us at the minute, so I don't think the double podium is on, as George Russell still currently sits behind Charles Leclerc. Right, Carlos Sainz has gone back past Lewis Hamilton, and under DRS, it's the power of that Ferrari engine makes an easy move, an easy overtake. And again, with Lewis Hamilton, what we want to do is we want to make sure we're the final one with DRS, as Carlos Sainz is now back up to P4. So we've had a massive incident involving both of the McLarens. Sergio Perez has lost his front wing. He is at fault, it seems, crashing into Zhou and the two McLarens there. Sergio Perez not having a great weekend at all. It's a safety car, and I'm thinking we box both of our guys in. George Russell hasn't really got anything to lose. He will be on the medium tyre regardless. Sorry, in third place regardless. Let's go for it with George. Fresh mediums to get to the end of the race. There's 30 laps. These can go 47, so he should be fine. George Russell is okay. Lewis Hamilton, we're going to do the same thing, I think. We're going to bring him in for a fresh set of medium. Oh, how far can the softs can go 30? The softs can go 37 laps. Or will they degrade a little bit too quickly? Let's go on to the mediums with Lewis as well. Let's keep it safe. And let's go on. And George Russell will be coming in first with the safety car now out. George Russell has been on a bit of a tear here. He's lost a place. Max Verstappen now leads this race. Sergio Perez is boxed in. What is he coming on for tyre-wise? Let's see what Sergio Perez does. If he goes onto the softs, we might match him. There's been a penalty applied as well, probably to Sergio Perez, who I think was at the forefront of that crash. Right, we need Perez to be coming out. Perez is still in the pits. He's still in the pits. He's come on out on softs. Right. We are going to do the same thing. They're both coming in. And 94% softs. We're going to match that with George Russell. And we're going to match that with Lewis Hamilton as well. Does Max Verstappen come in? No. Does Charles Leclerc come in? No. Here we go then with our pit stop. We might lose a place here. to Carlos Sainz under the pit stop, but with the soft tyres, we should be okay. Lewis Hamilton is coming in as well. Hang on, they've given me the mediums. They've given me the mediums. I've asked for the softs. What's happened to... We've got the softs with Lewis, but George Russell doesn't have the softs. What on earth has happened there? I called for the softs. But I surely had enough time there. As George Russell now closes up to the back of the safety car queue. He is in P4. Lewis Hamilton has lost more spots. He is down in P7. Maybe we shouldn't have done that with Lewis. George Russell didn't oh, they're both on softs. It's a visual glitch. Fair enough. It's a visual glitch there. Okay, both drivers then on soft tyres for the final 29 laps of this race. We've got a good opportunity at a double podium. Everyone else has stayed out on hard tyres. Lewis Hamilton has got some overtaking to do from P7. George Russell, P4. He only missed out one position. Everything strategically here is going our way. Max Verstappen leads the way. He now is the safety car. Can we get a jump on these Ferraris quickly? They're on used hard tyres. We're on fresh softs. We're going to have to manage them towards the end of the race, but I think we should be fine as George Russell gets a brilliant start. He should have gone for that move there on Carlos Sainz, but can we look around the outside and get back up to P3? Can we get past Sainz quickly? We're around the outside. Lewis Hamilton is following an AlphaTauri, but George Russell is dispatched of Carlos Sainz very, very quickly. Right.
Very good job.
Standard on the tyres for George Russell. We're going to have to be careful and conserve some tyres here. We're going to have to get our gap and we're going to have to run. Lewis Hamilton, he's overheating tyres as well. He's currently in P6. He's overtaken Pierre Gasly. Let's take a look at the replay.
Lewis Hamilton involved in this one.
It's an easy move, and just like George, we need to dispatch of these guys quickly as Lewis Hamilton looks around the outside of Valtteri Bottas for P5. Are we able to get this move done? Heading into the chicane, down the inside we go, and it's a brilliant move by Lewis Hamilton. Yes, we're going light on the tyres. We don't need to conserve them just yet, but at the minute, everything is fresher, so we can save them towards the end of the race. George Russell then round the outside of Max Verstappen goes up to P2 as Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest lap of the race. These soft tyres are working right now. We need to take advantage of that and try to get out in clean air and run away before they fall off a cliff towards the end of this race. George Russell up to P2. Lewis Hamilton fastest lap but in P5.
Sounds like there's been a crash. Let's see what happened there. Watch this. There's Leclerc.
Leclerc has crashed. Our championship leader has crashed. He's locked up, gone wide and hit the wall. Just managed to keep it out of it. Does he continue going? George Russell is now once again in the lead of this race. Let's have a look at that again. Absolute crazy scenes. He locks up from the race lead and he's absolutely bottled it. He's managed to keep going, but does he have to come into the pits? I'm not sure. As George Russell sets the fastest lap of the race, Charles Leclerc is going to stay out. He's down in P15. Your race leader is George Russell and Lewis Hamilton is chasing Carlos Sainz for that second podium position for the Mercedes. Right, Max Verstappen has taken the lead of this race. I'm not sure these soft tyres have worked the way that I wanted it to. Maybe I should have stuck with the medium. Sergio Perez, he definitely spun my head there with the soft tyres. I think that this is probably going to come back to bite us and cost us a race win. Max Verstappen is now in the lead. The soft tyres, they're working fine, but we just now need to start managing them a little bit better. So we've gone down to light with both of our drivers to try and sort of get to the end.
Let's take a look at the replay. Now let's look at this. Here's George Russell.
George Russell again takes the lead of this race, overtaking Max Verstappen, who's now defending from Carlos Sainz. But these soft tyres are definitely degrading a lot quicker than I thought they would do. We need to be careful of the degradation round here. It is very, very rapid as George Russell is out in front of this race, just ahead of Max Verstappen. The softs are already worn more than Max's hard, so we need to start conserving our tyres now.
Here's the replay. Now here we see Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen takes the lead of the race then on George Russell. A good move around the outside, and his hard tyres are now fresher than our softs, which is really, really a bitter pill to take. The Mercedes engineers are in shock there, but my decision, unfortunately, to go onto the softs seems to have cost us.
Ferrari advance the race position. Let's have a look. Let's have another look. Science is the focus here.
Yeah, I've definitely messed this one up here. Poor strategy call from me. The mediums would have been perfect and we would have been fine with George Russell. I've cost him a race win here. George Russell currently in P3 now and Lewis Hamilton in P4. It's going from bad to worse for us, and that's only my fault.
Let's take a closer look. Now let's
Right,
look at
despite
this.
the
Russell.
poor strategy decision, George Russell is still fighting for P2, and he's overtaken Carlos Sainz to jump that position. There is still an outside chance here of a double podium. It's brilliant driving here by George Russell. He deserves at least P2. He deserved the race win. I cost him that. The tyres are on 43%. We've got 10 laps to go on this race.
Let's see what happened there. Okay, here's the Ferrari.
Round the outside at turn 2 then, and turn 3. Carlos Sainz gets back P2 from George Russell. The fact that we're doing this on these soft tyres, it deserves applauding. We're still in with an opportunity at a double podium, but yeah, it's still looking kind of tough. We're on 34% on the tyres. The tyre wear is going to hit in soon, and I'm going to have to start thinking about defending from Valtteri Bottas with only 7 laps to go. This is so incredibly frustrating, man. George Russell in P3, Lewis Hamilton in P4, and now we've got Valtteri Bottas behind us with an opportunity of a podium on the hard compound of tyre. The decision to go onto the softs has really cost me. If I went onto the mediums, we would have been fine, but our tyre wear is really, really critical now. There's 2 laps to go. I'm hoping that we can stay in front of Valtteri Bottas, but he has got better tyres than us. Final lap of the race then, and Max Verstappen is your race leader, but behind him is Carlos Sainz, and he is flying with the DRS open. Can he get this race win off of the Red Bull past the wall of champions? I don't think he can unless he pips him on the line. Max Verstappen is your race winner. George Russell currently in P3, but there's Valtteri Bottas pulling up alongside Lewis Hamilton. Is Valtteri Bottas going to get both of them on the line? It's brilliant defending by Lewis Hamilton. And somehow, some way, the 2 Mercedes finish in P3 and P4. But that is just a case of what could have been. I completely bottled it with the decision making there. Congratulations, George Russell. You got a deserved podium, but your drive today, it deserved a win.
And here today, George Russell making British motorsport proud. This podium is a remarkable achievement for the whole team. And right now it's the British driver who proudly takes his place on the podium. Today's competitors gave it their all, but it's going to be those 3 taking home the big points. Mercedes once again showing why they're one of the biggest names in F1.
I agree, this was all very impressive, and it's obviously the work of a solid, well-run team.
That's right, and they finished the race weekend in 3rd place in the constructor standings.
For the next round, we're heading back to the heart of the UK. Get ready for a race to remember in Silverstone, the cradle of Formula One.
That wraps things up then from Canada. It's Max Verstappen, your race winner. I think that's his 3rd race win in a row. Yeah, Monaco, Baku, and now Canada. He is on a charge and he now leads the Drivers' Championship ahead of Charles Leclerc, who absolutely binned it into the wall today. Lewis Hamilton, P4, he's still in with a chance, 45 points off. You've seen stranger things happen. George Russell, good round of points for him today. 2 podiums on the season for him. Constructors wise, a very, very good race for Mercedes. Closed the gap on Ferrari by quite a bit, and no points for Perez, no points for Leclerc. Some good double points for us. And you look at the rest of the point scorers. Valtteri Bottas unlucky not to get a podium. He could have had a successful time out. He had overtaken the 2 Mercedes. Fernando Alonso in P6, Pierre Gasly P7, Esteban Ocon a double points finish for Alpine there in P8. Mick Schumacher, some very good points there for Haas in P9, and Seb Vettel from last place up to 10th. Fantastic drive for him. Yeah, that's going to be the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the series. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I apologize again for a poor strategic call, as our sponsorship wise we're bringing quite a lot of money once again, and driver bonuses, well done to George Russell for getting a little bit extra for the podium. But next time out we will be at Silverstone, and if you are new around here, be sure to subscribe to the channel for notifications on when that next episode is out. Hit the like button if you have enjoyed this episode, but in the meantime, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you for Silverstone in the next episode.